Okay, hello again. I've been asked to create a video on controlling a VFD from a PLC. It's not a very hard thing to do. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can do it. You can do it through Modbus, analog, all kinds of stuff. I'm going to do this one through analog. Analog's the easiest way, if you ask me. Modbus, we'll get into that later. I'm not real good at Modbus, but I need to learn more about it myself. So I'm going to do a video on that later about Modbus control. I can do it. I just don't do it all the time. And actually, I don't do any of this all the time anymore. The new job I've taken, I don't do PLCs. I wish I did. So I need to kind of stay on the bicycle by doing this. I need to get better at getting back on YouTube actually. But so keep them requests coming. Maybe they'll give me a inspiration to do them so I can stay at this stuff. But anyways, this is a program that I created from a company I used to work for. Taking their logo off of it, but I'll make this program available to anybody that wants it if I can figure out how to do it. If I can figure out a way to put a link to it, or if I can actually put it in the description somehow. It's just an IDEC HMI program. It's for an HG1G, which is on this machine that we programmed, but it's got some analog stuff like an input from a temperature head. It was a laser temperature device telling us head temperature on the welder. Had a roll former speed for the roll former. It's got some background stuff like the American flag there on it that shows up on every page you go to pretty much. It's got, of course, all the different buttons to go to the different parameters to change them and set them. This one actually had password stuff in it, but I took the password stuff out of it. That way anybody could get to it. But this is the actual HMI part. It was just a user input right here through a numerical input where you could put in the speed you wanted, and you could change it incrementally and decrementally. You could change it up or down. That's the easiest way to say it, by pushing these buttons here. Okay, we'll go into that here in a minute. I'm going to actually do a short program, and we'll wind up, hopefully sometime in the near future, I'll get it to where I can put it on my actual PLC in here and video it, and I'll show you how to make the analog go up and down on it and show you it actually working. I don't have a VFD, unfortunately, but I do have a analog meter, 4 to 20 meter we can put, or a meter we can put on there, show 4 to 20 milliamps, and we can see it that way. Anyway, that's that one. I'll make that available, like I say. We have this is the PLC program, the actual PLC program part of it. I'll make this available as well if anybody wants it. I mean, it's got some stuff you could kind of mess around with in there and see how it works and simulate it and play with it and maybe figure out some things. But like I say, anybody has any ideas how to put that on there, let me know, and I will be glad to put it on there for people to work with. All right, we're going to start with just the basic stuff. I'm not going to do a whole lot into this. This is the HMI program. Of course, we have to go in here to project first. You need to always do this first when you're doing HMI and a PLC. Set up your communications on it, because if you don't, you're going to have trouble at it. I got external device communication one. Let's go IDEC microsmart. Make sure that's set up. Microsmart FC6A Ethernet. This is usually not set up, so you need to make sure it is set up. Communication driver. I've got this one set up on Ethernet. Okay, so we should be good to go. I'll show you here in a minute. If you don't see something, that means you don't have your internet set up, or your Ethernet, I mean. All right. So now let's go back up here to home. Let's make sure our grid is turned on so it snaps the grid so our stuff doesn't look ugly. That's just something to remind you how to keep it lined up. And you can change your grid settings here, your dot, the distance between your dots here. This is for a preview of what your HMI is going to look like once it's on the screen. Just throwing some stuff in there for you. Anyway, this is where you can set up your type of HMI. If you have a different type of HMI. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get on with it. Here's our numerical input. We're going to put this on here first. So I'm going to put me a numerical input on here. I'm going to make it nice and big. All right. Double click on it. We're going to go in here. Let's go ahead and get this destination address is where it is going to put the number that you input into the numerical box. So when I enter a number in there, destination address is where I want this number to reside at. This is the mailbox I want it to go to. Okay, I want it to go to my external device. You make sure you change this because you also have micro I on there. If you have it micro I, it's going to store it in a local data register in your micro I. I like to drop it right in my PLC, so I put it in 0. Device 0 is my first PLC. That's the one I set up in communications, and I can explain that if somebody wants me to later. I'm not going to go into it right now. I'm going to leave it set in at data register 0 just for simplicity's sake. So whatever I put into this numerical input is going to drop into data register 0 in the PLC, not in the HMI. It's going to automatically send it to the PLC. Okay, view, we can go over here and put view. I've got this set at 5 digits because we're going to use a range of 1 to 1,000. By the way, we could actually go down to 4 digits because I'm using range 1 to 1,000. View, you can change the color. Let's see I don't know if it'll change it on the fly or not. That's the different kind of frames. Like if I don't want a frame, okay. See, it takes the frame away. View, let's see, browse. We want to have a fixed frame, okay. Let's change it to red. Show you what that does. See, change it to red. Alright, anyways, moving right along. View, format. This is our font size. I want my font to be bold. Let's go ahead and make my font Windows. I want to change it. Let's go ahead and go up to about 24 and see how that looks. Bold. Bold don't make any difference, by the way, when I change that. If I go to Windows, gives you a lot more versatility. Let's see. We'll go ahead and make that red too. How about that? We'll see what that looks like. Oh, it's not very big, is it? Let's see. Let's go maybe on it to 48. There we go. It's a little better. Okay, anyways, and just if you want to see what it looks like, there's what it's going to look like on the display. Okay. All right, let's go back to it and do a little more stuff to it. All right, so this is how we change the way it looks, pretty much format. Data over. All right, this is where I want to set. This is the way I do it now. Like I said, there's a lot of different ways to do it. I know there's some engineers out there that throw all kinds of stuff into it. This is for a guy learning and a guy that's not really an expert like me that can do it. I can make a machine run. I can make a machine do what I want without putting all the fancy stuff into it. So that's what I do. All right, I want my maximum to be 1,000. That's what I'm going to set it to in my PLC or my analog output also. I'll show you in a little bit. I'm not going to worry about trigger condition or none of that stuff. We're not going to fool with none of that. Okay, so now my maximum value here is going to be 1,000. All right, so now if I want to slowly control the speed of this up or down, I'm going to go up here to buttons. I'm going to show you how to do it. You got to make sure you pick word button, not bit button. Bit button's either 0 or 1. A word button can actually do separate functions. We'll go in there. I'm going to take this word button. I'm going to make it add. Okay. I'll make it add to destination address, and my external device is 0. I want it to add to whatever's in there. Okay. I want it to add 1 to it. All right. This is my scale. So if I want it to move 5 at a time, I put 5 in here. If I want it to add 10 at a time, I put 10 in here. I'm making this where I have 1,000 different settings of resolution, I guess I should say, in it. Okay. You got to make sure put right here 0 also, because it's going to take the number from 0, add 1 to it, and put it back into 0. Okay. If you do not put this here, it will not work. It'll probably throw up you a honker if you tried to not put something there. I don't know. Okay, let's go to view. Let's make this look a little better somehow. Let's go to picture. We'll go over some of this stuff. Let's go to symbol factory. We'll pull something out of here. Let's see. Let's go to we got something in here. Arrow. There we go. Let's see what we got in arrows. Let's rotate this thing 90 degrees. Here's our preview of what it looks like, by the way, right here. Let's go to shaded fill color of green. All right, we're going to say up. So that should be good enough. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, I forgot I got to do the on. I'm sorry. Let's go back and do the same thing for on. All right, so there's your up. I know it's kind of big, but anyways, now the easiest way to do this, I'm going to show you. We're going to just copy, paste, and I should be able to rotate this. Let me see if I can. I haven't done this in a while, so let me see what I can do here. I'll probably just have to change the whole icon. I don't think you can rotate it in here now that I think about it. All right, so let's go back to browse. Let's go to symbol factory. Let's get that arrow again, but this time let's change it to red. Sorry. Okay, now we're going to change it down here to 270, which is going to be down. All right. We're going to call that down. I know this is kind of vague, some of it, but it'll be okay. Don't forget to select it. Okay. All right, now, one thing we didn't do, we didn't change this to subtract. So let's go back in there. I almost forgot. All right, this is still an add. We need to make this one subtract. From D00, we copied it, so it's already got the addresses in there it goes to, but we needed to make it a subtract, okay? So basically, every time I push this button, it's going to drop this number down 1 point. 1 point. Oh, see, I didn't put that in there. See, I'm glad I went back. It'll drop it down 1 point, so it subtracts 1 from here and puts the number back in here. Man, I need to get back on the bicycle, don't I? It's getting bad. Okay, so you see how that works now? We'll save that. We'll save it as a motor 420. You know what? I'll save this in the cloud too if I can figure out a way to. I have a. YouTube in there, but okay, anyways, so there we go. There's our part. There's our simple HMI for controlling the motor. Remember, it's D000. Okay, let's go to our PLC now. All right, here is our PLC program. So first thing we're going to do is make sure we have our PLC to what our type of PLC we're using is, okay? Let's go to configuration. Now, this is our typical PLC right here, right? So we need to add an analog to it, an analog component. So your K's are your outputs. So we'll just grab a quick, let's grab that one, drag it over here. Whoop, then drag it in the right spot. There we go. All right, so there's our analog out. This is going to go to a Q is output, analog output 0. All right, once you have it there, just click configure. Okay, signal type, we want to use 4 to 20. That's what I want to put out. Okay, data type binary. This is where our range comes back in, optional range. I'm going to go 0. 1000. Okay. If you wanted to use the second one, you could do the same thing. I don't know how many motors you're controlling, but same kind of deal. Oh, see, I forgot. See, it yells at you if you forget to do something. Device, this is the data registers we're going to go to. This is where it's pulling the information from that it's sending out in analog form. So remember, we're dumping from our HMI into the data register in this PLC at D0. So we're going to go right there, pick D0. Okay, so now it's showing our data registers D0. All right, can you see that? So this analog right here, the top ones, which is AQ0, is going to get its information from data register 0 within this PLC that is in turn coming from the HMI. Okay, so now basically when we go to this HMI and we start bumping this number up or down, it's going to change the number in data register 0 in here, which in turn this analog card is going to read that as a range from 0 to 1000, and it's going to put it out in analog 4 to 20 form. So 4 milliamps is going to be 0, 20 milliamps is 1000. Does that make sense? I hope, because that is your range. That's what your optional range is now it's 0 is 4 milliamps, 20 milliamps is 1000. It takes that 1000, converts it to 20 milliamps, and puts it out to your device, which is your drive. Okay, so let's see, let's go to as far as a start and a stop on a PLC. Let's see, we'll go with a normal button here. We'll pick input 0. All right, I'm going to say this is my start button. Okay, so see, that's my start button. Now I want to go to a set. This is going to be for 2-wire control. Now if you want 3-wire control, we'll do that later too, but this is for 2-wire control. So we'll put a set, and I'm going to set Q0 . This is my out to S1 on the drive. Okay, this is what's going to make S1 pretty much close from SN, and it's going to make the drive run. Okay. Now that's going to be our start button. Now we're going to have a stop button. All right, so we're going to take another normally open. And this is kind of odd. I know somebody's going to say, oh, you're supposed to use a normally closed in case it fails, it stops. I know, but we're doing this. Y'all can figure all that out later. We're doing this an easy way right now. Okay, this is going to be our stop button. All right, and this one's going to be a reset. All right, and it's going to be the same address on our output. Q0. Okay, so now pretty much when I0 coming into the PLC is pushed, it's going to set Q0 and turn on your output to Q0, which in turn is going to turn on a relay, which is going to close your contact between S1 and SC, or SN, I believe, SN. Okay, now once I1, the stop button, is pushed, it is going to release or reset Q0, which is going to open up your relay that is closing the contact between S1 and SN. Okay, I hope that all makes sense. That's the easiest way. And I know, and yes, by the way, physically, Freemay says that you're supposed to have e-stops in here. You should have an e-stop relay in between some of this so it can't run, but we're doing this basic. All that comes later. And it is true. You should really set up to where it fails to off, not fails to on. But anyway, this is the gist of it for right now. We'll dig deeper into it later. I might mess with this and pull up I may just put that program I have on my HMI, show y'all how that one works. But either that or we can just add on to this one. Anyway, that's all there is for today. I'm up to about 20 minutes already anyways. Next one I'll try to get it set up where we can get into my actual PLC and show you some stuff on it. And like and subscribe, and anybody has any questions, by all means, or any information from me about adding into this and putting the programs on for y'all to get a hold of, let me know and I'll be glad to do it. All right, thanks. See y'all later and tell all your friends.